Happy birthday, America! Yes, sir! The land of the free, damn it. Cheeseburgers, hot dogs, football, baseball, all that kinds of shit. Happy 250th birthday, America. That's right. You know, say what you want about America nowadays, but I am a proud patriot, and I love my country, and I'm a proud American. However, my patriotism aside, we're not going to be talking about America today. No, we're going to be talking about American Western, though. So recently on the internet, Polygon, right. Polygon decided to show us an article that they decided to write and post the day before July 4th. And what is the title of this article? Well, it's called 8 years later, it's time to admit Red Dead Redemption 2 is a terrible game.
What the fuck is this piece of shit?
Now, I don't want to be that guy, but I'm just saying, what kind of crack is Polygon smoking? Really. Red Dead 2, Red Dead 2 of all things is apparently a terrible game. Huh. You know, see, I've heard a lot of stupid things in my life. I've spent a lot of time on the internet. I've seen some stupid shit in my life, but this by far is the stupidest thing I've seen.
Your intellect is as weak as your dollar. Failure is your destiny. You disrespect yourself and your nation. You are made of stupid.
And you know, people say they're entitled to their opinions. And while I do believe people are entitled to their opinions and thoughts, I have a certain part of me that also says that you can have a good opinion and a bad opinion. In this situation, this is a bad opinion. I don't know what kind of massive rock you live under, but Red Dead Redemption 2 is one of the greatest open world games of all time. Most people even consider it to be Rockstar Games' magnum opus, right up there with GTA 4 and GTA San Andreas. To say that it's a perfect game is an understatement. It is insanely. Look, the dick ride for Rockstar Games, I get it. It's a problem on the internet. We're all very aware of this. But to say that Red Dead Redemption 2 is a terrible game, I think is just wrong. I mean, you're literally just wrong. See, facts and numbers don't lie. And this game has a 97% universal acclaim score on on Metacritic. It also has a 9.0 user score. It's also one of the highest selling games of all time. So please, Polygon, tell me why you think that Red Dead 2 is actually a terrible game. Yes, let's see what we got here. I was, as the kids say, gassed when I finally got my hands on Red Dead Redemption 2. Oh lord. At the time, I was writing for a now defunct video game website. I wonder why. And in celebration of one of the most anticipated games of all time launching, we were given the day off. In hindsight, with 8 years of industry experience under my belt, that's a baffling decision, but I wasn't complaining at the time. Okay, sure, you got a free day off and you have a problem with that? I mean, shit. I mean, I think most people would say that they would be happy with a day off, right? You know, especially for one of the biggest gaming launches of the century at that time, right? No? Maybe? I'm just saying. Unfortunately, within a few hours of slogging through the snow, setting up a camp at Horseshoe Overlook, and discovered Valentine, I was bored out of my skull. Listen, I'm not just hating to be a contrarian for the sake of it. I wanted to love this game. The original Red Dead Redemption had me weeping during the unforgettable, devastating final scene. And Grand Theft Auto 5 is one of my all-time favorites too. So I was set for Rockstar's next major outing to blow me away. Arguably, it did, but not in the way I was expecting. So I'm gonna say this. I have proofread this before I started recording this. And I gotta say this. The first part of the article isn't really that bad when it came to their first criticism. Yes, okay? It is very common knowledge that the first chapter of Red Dead 2 is slow. Most people see it as an artistic purpose, and others see it as, even though it was stupid. I'm kind of in the middle. I can understand people's perspectives on the first chapter being a little slow. It's one of the reasons why I hate replaying the game, honestly, is the first chapter. It's a slow burn, but the entire game is a slow burn. So if you're already used to the way the game sets up and tells its narrative, it's really not that bad of an idea. However, I think your reviews and ratings have probably been down recently, so I think you are being a contrarian. I think you are just putting out something that's going to be hot just to get views, honestly. I really do believe that, however. At this time, Red Dead Redemption 2 is one of the most detailed games I've ever played. The world felt alive. The story was gripping, the characters were entertaining, personable, and sometimes even relatable. And technically, it's a masterpiece. Taking hunting, for example, 178 different kinds of animals, each with different habitats and behaviors, and many of them require bait to attract them while you lie in wait. I know, right? It's almost like that was the entire purpose of the game, is that it's masterfully crafted, unlike some other shit we play, right? I'm just saying. The problem is that Rockstar, leaning so far into realism, Red Dead Redemption 2 may be impressive, but it isn't fun. Fun, huh? Fun. It's very interesting to me that you have the capabilities in your noodle to dictate what is fun.
They want us, Arthur. They want us. And they are going to have us.
Maybe they ain't the problem.
They say that fun is subjective, and I wonder why. People find different games fun for different reasons. So what you may not find fun in something, somebody else might do find fun in. The details is when you look and you cross-reference them, you look at everybody else's opinions, including yours, and you come to a conclusion that maybe the game isn't for you. It's not an objectively bad video game. It might just be not for you. Who am I kidding? No, I'm not Polygon. Slowly following the scent of a bear, setting a trap, and then hiding in a bush for minutes on end isn't engaging gameplay. Then what else are you supposed to do? You can take the bears on in this game full force. I don't recommend it, but you can. So why are you complaining about something that is optional and there's different ways to approaching it? You're complaining about the game being boring because you decided to hunt the bear the old-fashioned way rather than shoving a shotgun up its ass. I mean, I'm not getting down what you're throwing down here, Polygon. It's not making any sense to me because there's different ways that you can approach hunting animals in this game. Yeah, sometimes you have to throw down bait and you have to wait for a couple of minutes, but what happens in between there? You could be walking around and run into a bear. I mean, there's many possibilities, and it's one minute, small detail of the game. I mean, really. You're complaining about bear hunting in this massive open world game? Alright, yeah, sure. Another example is that looting is astoundingly detailed. The ability to search through every individual drawer, and the fact that the game doesn't just open an inventory screen in its UI is commendable, but it takes so long. You see, now this I can kind of get behind, okay? You're starting to make a little bit of sense to me, alright? Saying that the looting in Red Dead 2 is slow is, again, nothing new. If you've seen any review of this game of a person who's spitting facts most of the time, you will know that the looting and the whole animations in the game tend to be slow. My counter argument to that, though, is that even though, yes, the looting mechanics could be sped up, and they are sped up in different game modes of the game, like online, for example, I would also like to argue that it's not a necessity. You don't have to loot, okay? It's an optional thing. You don't have to loot, though. And another thing is that that's the way the game is designed. Whether it's poor or not is up to the individual, but it comes to a point where I think people just don't have the patience to play this game. Because if you want to use this same argument of animations being slow and the game being cinematic and immersive, well then you must apply this logic to every other game that's designed like Red Dead 2, because there's many of them. I'm not gonna lie, the combat system in God of War 2018 is pretty sluggish compared to the original, I'm not saying nothing crazy, but hey, look, the shooting mechanics and looting mechanics and Last of Us are not as fun as Uncharted. It's almost like that was intentional. Various core mechanics of the game are nothing short of clunky too. Taking riding a horse, for example. I'm not expecting the same level of precision I'd find when driving a car in GTA 5, because it's a live animal with legs instead of wheels after all. But I would expect the game's primary transport method to be relatively smooth, and while it's easy going across flat, open terrain, making sharp turns, riding across narrow paths or engaging in combat while on horseback is often frustrating. Again, you were right there to coming to something maybe you could argue, but then you threw it off the flat. You threw the entire bath out with the baby, okay? When you said that it's hard to engage in combat with the horse, I don't know if Polygon knows this or not. It's a crazy, wild idea. But when you are engaging in combat in Red Dead 2, did you know that the horse steers itself?
Liar!
You're making an issue out of a non-issue. The horse drives itself when you're in combat. And another thing, if you're used to the way that the game controls from your character's perspective, then you'll be used to the way the horse feels, because the horse has weight and momentum and physics. So you have to counteract that. You have to actually control it. Of course, it's not going to be as smooth as a car. That makes sense. Again, they were on to something. But as soon as they mentioned the narrow paths and the combat, that's literally a non-issue, because you can literally hold X and the horse will steer itself. The game has systems and mechanics to support the movement of the horse, especially when the player is trying to engage in different aspects. That is a non-issue. Maybe it's me. Maybe I'm the problem. Being unable to keep my attention on the game during these slower moments is most likely a symptom of my ADHD. But in an era where so many people have shortened attention spans anyway due to short-form content consumption, the sheer breadth of entertainment media available, I think Red Dead Redemption 2 falls on the wrong side of the line. This part right here. This is the part where I immediately knew that I was going to make a video about this. Again, you're making a mountain out of a molehill here. You're complaining that the game isn't up to your standards or to the standards of people who watch TikTok and people who have short attention spans and have ADHD nowadays. I didn't know that when you're designing a game that you have to make it for everyone. You know, I was always told a game for everyone is a game for no one. You know, it's a slight possibility that maybe the game isn't just for you. You know, and I know some people get that muddied and it gets a little bit pretentious because some games are terrible and they say, well, it's not for you. No, I think this is literally stupid. I think you just need to accept the fact that the game isn't for you. You got bored, the ratings were low, and you had to write something up for the week and call it the spicy hot take of the week or whatever. No, I just do not believe for a second that you actually believe what's coming out of your mouth or whatever's coming from your keyboard or what you're typing. I don't. I seriously do not believe it, okay? How can you actually say something that dumb and not realize it or be even self-aware of what you just said? You're actually saying that because I have ADHD and the fact that a lot of kids watch TikToks and shorts nowadays and the attention spans have been lowered over the years, then that's the reason why the game is bad. That's why the game should be changed. That's why it should be molded to fit the broader ass. I don't get that. I just don't get that perspective. Saying a game is not for you is different than saying that the game is terrible. Now, maybe they just did it for views. I don't know. Maybe I'm falling for the rage bait. I don't know. But assuming that they're being legit and being honest, you're actually telling false information. You just are. You're lying about the game and you're not understanding who it was made for or what the audience is. You could say that Rockstar understands their audience better than they understand, or more than you understand it. It's almost like that might be a possibility. With GTA 6 coming before the end of the year, I can only hope Rockstar dials back the realism a touch. And you know what? I agree with that. I do. I actually do agree with that. I agree with this. I think GTA 6 should dial back the realism. I think GTA is a much more unrealistic series in general when it comes to Red Dead, and I think they should be focusing more on the arcadey elements while also focusing on the realism elements. Try to balance the two. Yeah, okay, sure. I can get behind that. Their flagship series has always been much more comedical and over the top than its cowboy-themed sibling, and since it's set in the modern era, the world will be moving at a faster pace anyway. But finding that balance between entertainment and realism will be crucial. I'd love to give Red Dead Redemption 2 another go, time permitting. As I say, I think it's a wonderfully crafted game, but by and large, I play games to enjoy myself. Red Dead Redemption 2 mechanics, while spectacularly realistic, are far too cumbersome. Since it launched as a console exclusive, I also haven't revisited it on PC with a mouse and keyboard and maybe a few mods installed to improve the experience. Perhaps I'll finally understand why it's considered by so many to be one of the best games of all time. Again, this is like if I made a stupid review about Legend of Zelda Ocarina of Time. I'm not a big fan of Legend of Zelda. I'm going to tell you that. I don't like Legend of Zelda. I never cared for Legend of Zelda. But if I were to make a review about Legend of Zelda and I started complaining about non-issues, then how can you say that the game is objectively bad? I am so confused. Are you saying the game is bad, or are you saying the game is not for you? I'm losing my mind here I'm trying to figure this out. For now, the most I can say is that it's one of the best technical achievements of all time, but it is not a very good video game.
You want me to take out a gun and blow a fucking hole in your head right here? Right now? You want that?
Mr. Marston.
You want that?
Mr. Marston.
Yeah, sure. Yeah, not a good video game, I guess. Yep, no, not a very good video game, huh? Sure, go ahead. You know, you're entitled to your opinion, but I still think it's stupid. It's so weird to me that with GTA 6 coming around the corner, everybody's trying to get views off of grifting Rockstar's games in general. And don't get me wrong, I'm not, you know, entirely blind to the issue. I know a lot of people grift on Rockstar games inherently. There's a lot of people who don't like their engine. There's a lot of people who don't like the way their games are designed, and you're entitled to your opinions. I get it. It's the most popular thing on the world. So hating on it is going to get you any kind of... Hating on it in general is going to get you any kind of clout, I would argue. This article, though, this article right here, though, is definitely more along the lines of slander than it is actually giving a fair review of the game. Now, maybe they're not giving a fair review of the game. They're clearly just writing something nice, short, and sweet to give a hot take, a hot take on a popular game, especially with GTA 6 being around the corner. But I don't know, man. I've never heard such stupidity in my life. I've watched a lot of critiques on Red Dead 2. I love to watch criticisms of some of my favorite games. I even have my own criticisms of Red Dead 2. I do. Most people do. Red Dead 2 is not perfect. Don't get me wrong. It's not. But this person, Polygon in particular, they did not choose the right things to talk about, and it's very clear. I also won't lie to you that I am a very factual, a very analytical person, and I tend to take numbers and facts over people's fwee-fwees and opinions. And I think the truth is that Polygon can't handle the truth.
I'll answer the question. You want answers?
I think I'm entitled to.
You want answers?
I want the truth!
You can't handle the truth!
I guess you can say that 85 million copies sold is just a lie. It's very funny to me, too, that if you read this entire article and you turn your brain off, you won't even notice the serious problems with it. But as soon as you use an iota, a noodle, just a singular thought in your brain, you'll realize that the stuff they complain about is literally... you're complaining about nothing. What are your critiques here? What are you offering? Like, seriously, what? Bear hunting and horses, and it's clunky, but you won't describe why it's clunky. Okay, okay, you're making a mountain out of a molehill here. You're complaining about non-issues. Bear hunting is an optional thing that takes up probably 3% of the fucking game entirely. You're not talking about the story. You're not talking about the shooting mechanics. You're not talking about the map. Okay. You're talking about horses. Sure. Okay. The horses can be a little awkward sometimes. But it's a non-issue because you can literally turn it on autopilot. And it does. It has systems and mechanics in the game that help you. I don't know. I don't know. I don't know. The only fair one I saw was the first chapter being kind of slow, sure. But the entire game being slow and the whole looting shit, dude. Most Red Dead 2 fans, I can tell you, are tired of hearing the looting argument, okay? Nobody gives a shit, okay? Just because you don't have the patience to loot for shit doesn't mean that other people don't. And it doesn't mean it's an objective criticism of the game, considering that it's literally optional. You don't have to engage with any of it. You can go to stores and buy stuff. You don't have to loot stuff. Yeah, is it a little bit aggravating that the looting is a little longer and a little tedious? Sure, it is. It's a bit aggravating. But to call it an objective criticism of the game, I don't know. But anyways, yeah, happy birthday, America. And don't be like Polygon, which, I mean, nothing's new. Yeah, so, yeah. Red Dead 2 is an awesome game. Keep playing, and I'm excited for GTA 6. But yeah, that's about it. See ya.